So I will start this. This was the story of my daughter. So she's 6 years old, and a few months ago she lost her first tooth. The tooth fairy came over, put $2 under the pillow. The following morning she came over and she handed over the $2 to me. I said, "Dad, that's for the kids of the Epic Foundation." What is interesting about this story? At 6, you're still pure. You give, and she was giving barely 100% of her wealth. So we are trying to move people to give more. That's barely what we're trying to achieve at Epic. But at that age, it's fine. Just you want to give. You don't think that people will just use the money badly. That's barely the start of Epic. So what we know is not only just my daughter. I think something that's shared by more and more people here. We want to do more. We want to be more active. We want to change the society because the society we can see, I think, is not the one we want to live in. So this number is interesting. A few weeks ago, we were at Stanford. 20% of the undergrads, they want to work in the social world. So it's 5 years ago, it was 0. Wherever you go, when you are 18, 20, 25, and I see most of those age are in this room, you don't only to get the success, but you want to do something with that success. And that basically just everywhere. If you go after this generation, the Y generation, or even the Z generation, they want to find something called purpose. So it's for you just normal, but it was different before. Before it was less about just helping other people, it was more about ourselves. So everything is changing so quickly, and it's changed mostly because of this new generation. And you know this. We're talking about social everything, social beauty, social innovation, and social venture. So social is at the core of who we are. And it's interesting because I was reading this a few weeks ago, the interview from Jean-Paul Agon, L'Oréal. He was saying, there's something interesting about social beauty. When you take selfies of yourself, it's what they call at L'Oréal social beauty. So it's social at the core of everything. But more than this, I think we want to give. Giving is at the core of who we are. For years and years, for decades, for centuries, giving was at the core of societies. We were helping someone else. If we are there, you're trying to help someone here. And a place like the family is interesting because you have people who have been already successful before, isn't trying to help the people who want to be successful. But whatever we do, and that's what we say at Epic, please do everything you can to be successful. But share a slice of your success with people who should be helped. And that's what we see there in the giving. So, and the reason why I'm talking, the reason I'm invited here is trying to talk about trends. If there's one thing I'm okay, is just trying to find and understand next trends. I started this 20 years ago. So the first venture I started was in the mobile space. It wasn't the web. It was a web agency. I was 20, and it was just barely just trying to sell websites to people. But at the time I was 20, I was with the beard, the ponytail, baggy jeans, and maybe most of you don't remember this, but something called Minitel was in France. And so I was there just knocking on doors, trying to convince people that the next big wave will be the internet. It was super hard. And I'm sure you can feel this, even if you believe in something super strongly, not every time it will work. So you need to find another way. And at that time for me, it was super, super clear. I need to do more. I think I was hoping that people would call me. So in this world where just I was building one of the first web agencies, people will just understand that the internet will be the future. I was sure that people would call me. As you can imagine, no one never called my agency. And even if my agency name was A2X, so I put an A first because I was sure they will go in the listings and A, that should be better than B or C. No one ever called me. And that I was 20, I realized that if you really want something, there's only one way to get it, is to go and grab it. So I started just picking my phone and giving millions of calls. Very few were successful, for sure. But then the timing. And then the timing was the real boom of the internet. So that was 97, 98, sold it, and I moved to mobile. So long story, super hard, very similarly, just started in the mobile space in 01, 02. At the time, people were still just texting. So it was not the internet, and the mobile internet we know now. And in 07, someone, known under the name of Steve Jobs, we all know him, launched the iPhone. And the week after, I did receive 15 offers of acquisition, because we were, at the time, the #1 mobile agency in Europe. And in the US, mobile was not super clear. So I said, oh, maybe if we buy someone in Europe, they can help us to build something. So being acquired at the time by Publicis, and so it was a mobile agency. So we moved there to Europe. We started just opening 25 offices across the world. Super fun, super easy, super hard as well. And that was in 08, 09. In 2010, it was the right time to move to the US, mostly because, and I hate saying this here in France, but if you really want to build the #1 in whatever digital space, you have to be in the US, or at least you have to have also one operation in the US. And even if the headquarters was in Paris, I had to go over there. And for me, it was my duty to go and try to do it over there. So moved there with a family, 3 kids, and it went well. So it was the right timing again. People were starting to understand mobile, and they want to do more in mobile. And then at the end of it, I started my 5th startup in the social media space. And social media, so when I started, this one was 07, 08, and it took me 5 years. Usually for me, it's always, every 5 years I'm starting something, I'm building it, I'm trying to sell it. And it's interesting because every time I'm starting something, not this time with Epic, but in the past, I had an idea super clear to whom I will sell the business. Every time I was wrong. It was interesting, but at least I had just an idea in mind. And when I built Screen with this social media platform, we sold it to BlackBerry. And the reason why, maybe you remember this brand, BlackBerry. It's not really, no. I still have one, so I need to be just, they give me enough money to carry just a BlackBerry now. But BlackBerry was really successful in 2011, no, 2012, I think, 2013. Twitter went public. And when Twitter went public, BlackBerry realized that they had just almost the same number of users, but Twitter valuation was 20 billion-ish. So at the time said it's maybe time to acquire someone, an organization that can help us to monetize. They had just 90 million users. Do you remember BlackBerry Messenger? Anyone? So it was 90 million users, and they were not monetizing it. So that's why they did acquire us. So that's the story. So you can, okay, that's mini slides. So what was important after this is, for me, just to be able to see trends. That's where I'm good. Honestly, it's interesting because in the US, I'm usually saying, people believe because I'm French, I'm able to understand and pick a good wine when I'm going out. And I'm saying, no, that's, I'm always late. I'm bad at many things. But there's one thing, at least just I can prove with numbers, is trying to see what the next trend. And for me, the trend we can see now is what we call the social disruption. That's the trend and that's what we're trying to explain to businesses. There's something coming. And everyone is now only talking about the tech disruption. We are feared about just the Uber or whoever else will come to disrupt your organization on the tech side. But there's something as important as the social side. You cannot just only be successful and don't pay your taxes. That's not possible. You don't be successful and don't share a slice of it. It's not possible anymore. You know why? Because there's a generation here. And this generation is a Y generation. And this generation doesn't accept this anymore. So I'll give you a couple of numbers. Or just feedback from HR. And we had this conversation this morning with my team with a brand in a luxury world. But just talking about just P&G, L'Oreal, all those big organizations. The third question that an employee will start asking during the interview process now is no longer the question we were asking, at least I was maybe asking 20 years ago. At the time, the first question we were asking was, give me just the description of the job. That's still what your generation, the Y generation, is asking. The second question is normal, is what kind of money, what kind of compensation I will get. The third one we were asking was the size of the office, if the office was facing the street or the Seine. This generation is asking something totally different. One, they prefer to share the office. So that's funny. At the time, we prefer having our own office. Now you love sharing offices. Two, is what the purpose? What the purpose of the work? If I'm working hard for you, and I will work hard for you, you also believe that because those organizations will be successful because of you. So it's a lot of self-confidence. I love this. Still, when they are successful, they are asking what will you give back and how you will give back. So that's the trend we see now coming, and this will influence every aspect of business lives. Hobbies, family structure, everything will be structured just differently because of this social disruption. So after why I'm just here just talking about the social disruption, not the next cool tech product. And that's back of the story of my story of the family and my family story. In 2013, after selling this social media platform to BlackBerry, we pull out of school our kids and we start traveling the world. And when we travel the world, this picture, so I have 3 kids I told you earlier, so 2 are not mine. And so guess whom, but when I was traveling the world, we, during the same day of this picture was taken, we were just driving, this picture, sorry, I should show where it was taken. It was in Vietnam, which is the border with China. And when we was driving on this road, we passed the exact opposites of our situation. Kids, a bunch of 6, 7-year-old kids, barefoot in the snow, not going to school, herding pigs. And for me, it was super clear. I said, what is the difference between those kids and mine? Only one thing, where those kids were born, and where all of us were born. And that's for me something super important to declare is, sometimes, and most of the time, you can be lucky on unlucky day one. Sometimes, and I'm sure some of you were super lucky where you were born, and sometimes super unlucky. The one who were lucky, it's normal you're here. The one who were unlucky, you are outliers. So you shouldn't be in this room today. And that's what we are trying to do at Epic. We should say, for those who are not lucky when they were just 0, even not 5, not 10, not 15, 0, how can we help them? And that's basically just the spirit of Epic. And it was just something, was years of experience and conversations before. But this day was my tipping point. Yes, I've been a very successful tech entrepreneur. Yes, I've made good money. But now, how can I devote most of my time to help others? And that's the story of Epic. So, talking about just this generation, that's what we call usually the me generation. So that's basically just my generation. And now the generation coming is the we generation. And something interesting we say to the groups, in 3 years, not 15, 3 years from now, this generation, the millennials, will be just 50% of the global workforce. It means something super interesting here. If people don't understand that the world of tomorrow will be led by really most of you guys, they will be in big trouble. And this trouble is interesting because when you want to change the world, and honestly, sometimes people believe I'm a dreamer. I'm fine being a dreamer, but I'm doing everything I can to change this world. And this world could be changed if you find 3 things. 1, you need to have a driving force. The driving force is people who want to do more, mostly millennials. That's what we are talking here. 2, we want to find, and when we talking about giving, we want to find easy, painless way of giving. And the third one has to be systemic. So what we are saying here is, when you talk to, I won't name any corporation or any brands, but if you go and if you work in those big organizations, they will say, I'm super committed to social good. I say, really? What are you doing? We do CSR. we go and we paint the inner city school nearby and we feel good. Yes, that's important, but that's nothing. That's a toy for CEOs. We want to do way more than this. This should be drastic. This should be just systemic. That's what we want to do. And people are doing it. So it's interesting to mention some of those. We'll start with the state. We believe if people don't understand, legislation should take part of this. We have seen this with women in France and everywhere else. People don't understand why equality should be there. Just use laws and make this as normal. We should do the same for every single bit of action, and we say social action. This one is interesting. Ta-da. Should work? Okay, India. Anyone went to India? Can you just raise? Yeah, some of you. So I'm sure you saw that poverty is everywhere. It's a mix. 300 million people are living under poverty line. So it's a 1.2 billion country. So Prime Minister Modi has decided something immensely strong. He said, if you make more as a business, if you make more $78 million, so let's say 70 million euros, you have to give, and you have no chance to just skip this, 2% of your profit. 2% of your profit if you are just making enough money to do it. I can tell you that 2% of profit is nothing. It's painless, and this is systemic. But those organizations are not giving this to the state because all of you, maybe including me, when we give to the state, we don't know exactly how they will spend it. We love to complain. So the street should be better, the school should be better. But at some point, governments are doing everything they can, but they don't have enough money. The money is within the businesses. So they have understood this, and they said, okay, you give, and you have to give, but it's not me who will give. You decide where to give. So if you are just an organization and you want to give to a school nearby, but you have to give this money. It's no longer just an excuse to not give. And that's for states. Talking about just corporations and businesses, we push hard the 1% pledge. The 1% pledge is going after corporations, and even if you're not forced to do this, you should start doing it. So you give 1% of your profits. And organizations are doing it. So if I've mentioned just Caudalie, skincare, they give 1% of their revenues. Même pas le profit, ils donnent le revenu, the top line, not the bottom line. And they don't care communicating around this. They do this because they understand it's important. Cogent is giving 10% of his profit, even having just a private equity partner who owns, I think, 51%. So he was able to convince the PE firm to do good. So that's what we see. And usually, when you want to, and I'm sure, I think most of you are entrepreneurs or are just running your own business here. Can you the entrepreneur, can you raise your hands, please? Yeah. And who's working for, a bigger organization? Some. It's fine. It's okay. We need you. But that's interesting because usually I'm sure you see this even when you work for a small organization, or even yourself if you are CEO of an organization, a founder. 3 types of business people. The first is the Alain Cogent or les Caudalie. People, they will do good because they understand it's part of who they are. Even if it's not positive, it will cost them something, they will do it because they understand the people who they are. 2, we shouldn't talk about them because they don't deserve any attention. It's the business people who don't give a shit about just building a better world. They want more money, they want to just, more is never enough. You see, I'm sure you know some of them. Hopefully you don't work for any of them. But it's the minority. The vast majority of bosses and CEOs and business people, they're good people. They're good people, but something interesting, they will move if they understand it's better for the business. If it's not better for the business, they won't move. What is interesting now, they understand it's better for the business because if they don't move, they won't be able to recruit anymore the top talents. They won't be able to retain them. That's the discussion we had this morning with the team, with these brands. And all my 25, 26, 27, 28-year-old employees, they're leaving one after the other. Why? Because they want to become entrepreneur. They want to work in a social organization. If you don't give them something, they will leave. won't read it. And the third, for some of them, will stop buying the product of people we don't, connect with. It's interesting we all know Uber and Lyft. It's very interesting what happened in the last few months with Uber. I'm sure you've read, over the news that Uber was pretty challenged. In the meantime, Lyft, the other one, just got a huge hike because a lot of people in the US, because you have the option one or the other. I'm sure most of you have two accounts. Everyone has maybe two. I have two accounts. You have to pick one, same price, same service. Now, let's take the one I believe is better. That's what we see more and more. Is no longer just something that's not important. It's super important. And that's what we see now, the 1%. But let's go and find the round up. The round up is, let's say we buy this pair of shoes over the internet. Then you can just put this, and you can, if it's 65 euros, 25 cents, you can put the button there, and you can go to $66. Painless, systemic, and everything. And it's important for the entrepreneurs here. Embed this wherever you can. It has to be super easy. And your customers will be happy to do this. Your clients will be happy to do this. Your employees will be happy because it's nothing. It has to be painless. So what's painless for Bill Gates is maybe different than for you, but it has to be painless. If it's painless, it could be systemic. Something interesting about just something we are the Lyft, the rundown. This one is a good one as well. So we are starting this with Christian Dior. So we all know Christian Dior. What they will be doing, when you get your paycheck, it's never rounded. It's always 23 cents or 45 cents. So what they will start doing for their 1,200 employees, said you can give. So whatever is after the dots, after à la fin, you can give away, and then they will just match this up, and then we can just build something. So if you want to give more than after the comma itself, but the point I'm making here is it's easy, it's painless, something important, and you are no longer a luxury brand or tech brand, but you start becoming a giving brand. You start understanding that's part of who we are, is just helping just others, and with very easy just implementation. And people are already doing it, so let's do, and something for entrepreneurs here. Because a lot of my friends who are just starting businesses are telling me, I want to do something, but I don't make profit just yet. I've started my business. Fine. You can pledge something else. Pledge your shares. Pledge 1%, 2%, whatever, but pledge. So maybe in 5 years from now, you'll be acquired by Orange or Google, whoever, but then it's part of who you become. And everyone should start doing this. So we have been launching this with something called Epic Funders Pledge, and we have a lot of different just entrepreneurs who are joined there. So that's really what we see. Epic has been already described. I'm not sure enough, but let's do interaction. Can you raise your hand if you have given money to any social organization last year? Can you just raise, giving anything, just $5, $2? So another question then. Who believe have given enough? Can you just raise your hands? So that's interesting. Someone over there. I always have one. Oh, Miriam as well, so thank you. So that's interesting. What we have been doing here has been the same everywhere. So when we've been traveling the world, I was trying to find something I can just, a pattern between, and I'm sure you know this, but when you're an entrepreneur, you're trying to find where people are, let's say point A here, and where people want to go, point B here. And if the gap between A and B is wide enough, you have a business to build against it. If it's super narrow, you have nothing to build. And for me, I was trying to understand where people are. And people were always telling me, yes, I'm here, but I want to give more. Everyone wants to do, when you start thinking, sure, we should do more at their level, but we should do more. And then when I was asking people wherever I was going, from Asia to the US, from Europe, saying, yeah, but I don't do for 3 reasons. 1, I don't trust social organizations. I don't know what they do with my money. I cannot trace this. 2, I have no time. So it's impossible. I have a family, I have life, I have friends. I cannot do everything. And 3rd, the knowledge. You are super good at whatever you do in your life, but social is slightly different. So how you can be good doing this? I'll give you an example. Breast cancer in New York City. You have 160 organizations doing slightly the same, at least for someone like me, with no knowledge. So tell me how you can select one. Impossible. The truth is, when you have more than 7 choices, you start procrastinating. Say, okay, next year. And we all do this, in the year after. And we always good reasons not to give. So we said, fine. But in 2017, we have tools to change this. And what we started doing, and that's something you will just understand super well, we said open innovation and design thinking. That's how I've been building all my businesses before. There's an issue here, there's a solution. And let's use not only technology, but a different kind of thinking. That's what we are doing, just saying, okay, selection, we should have a real selection. So EPIC is all about youth and children in youth, so 0 to 25 years old, in 7 regions around the world. Education, protection, health, and economic empowerment. And when we started saying this is, I won't find this organization myself. So as most of you, when you build something, you partner with other organizations. And that's what we started doing. We went after the Ashoka, the Gates Foundation, the Omidyar Network, amazing people who are doing such a good work in the field, on the ground. Said, can you share with me every January 1st, your top 5, your top 10, your top 20 organization in this sector? Last year, doing this, we received 1,900 applications. So amazing applications, because mostly coming from the network. But 1,900, when I mentioned this, the number 7 is way too many. I cannot come to see you and say, okay, now it's time to give. I have 1,900 organizations for you. You'll be lost. So we have been doing just like a VC, very similar. We have 45 data points. And with the 45 data points, we are just doing the selection. Like when you go and you're trying to sell your product to any VCs, you're trying to find, and we're doing the same. And the VC will say, okay, I want to see your financial impact and your governance and your leadership. We do the same. So we are spending just 7 months doing this process. And this, so I stopped this to come for the beat for Paris 2024, but we have started this 3rd phase, and the 3rd phase is the best one because we travel and we visit the social organizations. So we spend time with the social entrepreneurs, amazing people, with the beneficiaries. We cry, we hug people. It's beautiful. It's real life. And we do this. And in September, we select 10 organizations, 7, 10, 15. And then we tour again the world, but then we go and we're trying to find money. And we have barely just 3 different pillars to get money. The first one is through the successful people, entrepreneurs, business leaders, artists, singers, athletes, people with money, and we go to 15 cities. So from Singapore to Geneva, from San Francisco to Paris. And we go and say, it's time. We've done the work for you. If you want to do more, you can pick whatever you want within those organizations. Something is super important to notice there. We don't charge. So when we do this and when people join us, because we are a movement, as you can understand, we don't charge them. We don't take a cut. We don't, we said 100% of what you will give will go directly to those organizations. And that's why I took time. I'm sorry if I bothered you with my story, because what I did, I worked super hard and I knew why I was doing this. I work like a dog because I want to have money. And I know it's hard to say sometimes in France you work for, getting to that point. But I want to go to that point to use my money to change lives. So it's always the same thing. There's nothing bad to be successful. There's nothing bad to have that kind of dream, only if you can share a slice of it. And that's basically just what I was starting doing, just trying to see, okay, we need to do this, and we go after people. And because it's free, we do the work, we travel the world, everything is back to you for free. So that's one thing. 2, before this. Sorry. The businesses, what I explained after, the businesses, we go after them and we sell, exactly what I mentioned earlier, but there's the payroll giving, the rent up, the 1%, the 2%. And the third is everyone. I want everyone to give. If you have €1, if you have £10 or $20, why you shouldn't be able to give? Why it should be only for the elites? There's no way. So we want to democratize the giving. Everyone should be able to give. So we are starting a new platform, for sure, a digital platform over the summer for this. So, and after we keep building tools. So this one is an app. Why in 2017 we shouldn't be able to give information to the donors? So you have on your mobile app, how many kids got their shot or their pills a few weeks ago? And that's something on your phone, so you can have access to this kind of information, like if you were just checking your bank account. So UX, UI, we've been working with real experts, so we have something super neat, super nice. It's as beautiful if you were just buying a new BMW or if you were just going on booking.com. So, and it's in a lot of stories, it's always, you know this, but it's, the world is, we are just, two sides of the brain. One is all about data and the other one is about passion, is about just smile, dream and everything. So that's what we're trying to bring through this application. And the third piece of our tools, or third pillar of a tool. The first one is selection, the second one is the tracking, the third one is the engagement. And what about the engagement? Just, I can tell you that in India, when we discussed India earlier, we are working in a slum that where life expectancy is 39 years old. And we're in 2017. So if you think is normal, no one here thinks is normal, but we'll all forget this. Where's that kind of tools? It's easier. So we help people to go and to visit those organizations, wherever they are. It could be Montreuil, Vénissieux, Quartier de l'Alma, Roubaix. Wherever those organizations are, there's no lack of needs. There's no lack of poverty. Everyone can do something, and needs are everywhere. But we say, we'll film everything. So we've been filming everything in VR. I think we have some goggles here, so if you want to try it after. So we've been really serious in filming this. And then when we engage people, we say, yes, we can talk, you can understand what it is, but watch this. It will be also super powerful. So that's basically just what we say. So the big picture is really success is just the first part of the equation. It's the one we want to write right away. But the second part is what you do with that success. And it's us, for sure, whatever you are doing, but it's everyone we know, every friends we have, every people we know in every single organization. It's time to do way more. And then just, we do this, we're a movement at Epic. That's why we don't charge. We're just saying tools exist, organizations exist, great people are there, but let's bring solutions, let's make it real. And pressure is everywhere as well. So let's see what will just be the future of this country with this new president. Hope for the best. And what we say at the end is, giving, at least for me, has never given and has never taken from my wealth, even if it has added to it. So for me, it's super just meaningful. It's super just rewarding to give. And I've never met anyone who we had after giving feel bad. So I think it's a great just a start at any levels. It could be €1, it could be just helping someone in the street. I think that's who we are. And we forgot this maybe, and it's back here. It's back because of this generation. It's back because we can see, and everything we've seen last year, I hope we agree, is really bad about society. So we need to do something. It's our role. And doing what you do, being just trying to build the world of tomorrow, should be part of the equation. So that's what we do at Epic. I should mention also my work, where I still get some money because I need to finance everything. So I'm overseeing a family office called Bliss. And Bliss, we invest in tech startups, but mostly late stage. So we don't do anything early stage. So we do stuff like Spotify, BlaBlaCar, Pinterest, so late stage. But the money I keep making there just goes to fund just the system. So it's 10% of my time I'm doing this, and 90% I'm spending the money I'm earning just through my. So that's the balance of my life. And that's it. Do we have time for questions? Okay, wonderful. Merci.
It's not so much a question as a comment, because I've been working for a long time in the world of humanitarian work, development projects in the Philippines, and I just want to comment that of course it's very nice to study projects, and of course I can only appreciate that, but I just want to make the point about the difficulty of getting a good appraisal about this kind of projects, because data can be tweaked very easily. So of course I understand that you put a lot of a lot of effort into this, and that it was explained that you get monthly updates later on, and I'm sure of course it helps to a large extent, but I just want to raise the point again about the difficulty of getting data to accurately reflect the true work being done by the organization, because I've seen so many projects where data are being manipulated, and many, and numbers cannot always reflect accurately what's going on. And you can report that, okay, I did so many vaccinations, or I fed so many children, and so on, but unless you really see it qualitatively at the field, it's difficult to know really what's being done. And so that's for me, that's the true complexity of your project. It's very noble, but that's the true complexity.
And thank you for sharing your experience. And I agree with you. It's really hard. That's why we have been doing this double vetting process. We're first asking people where are we doing the work, saying give me your top ones, and to real people with such a great knowledge. And on the top of this, we're saying we'll do another round of vetting. But it's a good point. Just we're not saying that we're perfect. We're trying to find really the safe bets, knowing that. So that's why we need to go twice a year in the field and trying to be sure that. But the good thing with technology, you can really just measure just more things that maybe 5 or 10 years ago. Still, it's an issue. But I'm also trying to be positive. I can give you many examples of tech startups who are not just doing everything perfectly, you see? And they still raise money. Because it's hard, just nothing is really perfect. But we're not saying that we have selected for now just 30 organizations, so not 5,000 organizations. So what we want to convey is not only just trying to show, amazing organizations exist, and you know this. Some are really bad, but some are just amazing. And that's the one we are trying to find. It's not easy, I do agree with you. But more than this, it's more just the mindset we need to change. It's what we call the new giving. That's where we are now. So he's not talking about this organization in Philippines or in Paris or wherever. It's more what we have to do. And maybe for you, it will be, for me, it's youth and children. For some other people, it could be just animals or climate changing. Personally, I don't really mind. I want people to do. I want people to understand there is no way back now. I think we saw this, not a few weeks, just a few weeks ago here. We are that close. So it's the civil society. So yes, maybe sometimes we make choices and maybe it won't be wrong choices, but I do prefer making a wrong choice than making zero choice. Because after, I would say, at least I tried something. That's what I'm doing. So I'm not saying that everyone, that is a good point, need to spend 90% of time to doing what I do, but just for me, it was just, it's natural. But super hard. But it's more just giving, and giving wherever you want to give. But yeah, I agree. That's why we have been using just this double vetting process plus some tools and ensure visits. So when we go next week to Africa, we'll do site visits. We'll go to see them in Kampala, in Nairobi. We'll do the work. We'll go, and it's part of the process. It's part of what we're offering to the donors.
2 questions. Can you be a bit more specific about the data on the first filter? How do you manage to filter, people, governance? Is it based on experience on, LinkedIn or whatever? Second question, if someone doesn't respect your monthly criteria, do you take the money back?
So, question about the data. What do you mean by can you just, the data is just the data we are able just to put just put in the app?
Yeah, what kind of a criteria you have?
Okay.
The
45 point. Okay. So
to get rid of.
Sure. Okay. So the 45 points is really just it's a 3-stage process, and at every stage we have 15 different data points. We always have impact, so mostly social impact in that case, governance, and leadership. And every time we have 5 different data points for every single stage. So that's 15, 15, 15, and then we have 45. The second point about just if someone, so we have yellow flags. So the answer is yes, we have yellow flags. And last year, we had to remove an organization, not because they were not good, but because it was maybe they were not able to follow just what we needed. So exactly what you just said, we were asking data and updates, and at some point, they were good, but they were not able to just barely just match what we were asking. So we gave them 1 yellow flag, 2, and at the end we said, we'll help you just until the end of the year, but you will be removed. And we did nicely, Because in the very same way, I'm just like you were saying earlier, I'm just saying there is no silver bullet in this world. We can try to reach that stage, but when it's not working, we will just exit them nicely.
I am a small donor at Epic Foundation, but I think to give money is less efficient than to collaborate between companies and social entrepreneurs to scale up business problems. Do you work on that?
So what you're saying is more spending time and skills, right?
Yes, to help
them
with corporate tools or with the corporate organization to help social entrepreneurs to have more social impact. Not only to give money and close eyes.
Yeah, it's that's interesting. So I understand, but I do think cash is king. And at the opposite, most of the time I see people saying, "Oh yeah, I will ask my team to take just half a day and to paint the school we were discussing earlier." I think it's important, but to really match, we should take their skills. And sometimes we see this. For example, what they do, they give time. So if you are just a social organization, you can go on Trustlow, I think it's trustlow.org, and then you will just ask for help. So it's not money, it's your skills. And then they will just help you. So they will centralize everything. They will send, if it's in Paris, for example, they will send this to the lawyers in Paris who want to help and give time. And then they will help you and they will do everything pro bono. So we are trying to find that kind of skills, but it has to be super specific. Could be just, avocat c'est facile. You can find some of them. But yeah, we're trying. Otherwise, money just, I'm sure some social entrepreneurs, they're just amazing and they need money. Just that's it. And I'm not saying that, for sure they can need help or direction, but most of the time they know exactly what they do. They just need to fuel the engine.
How do you manage to build trust in Epic regarding when you go to the corporations and try to fundraise? How do you build trust in you, in the organization?
So I think the fact that everything we do is transparent. So whatever you want to know about the selection model, the data points we were discussing earlier, we share everything. Two, everything we do is at no cost. So I should be really just dumb to do everything I do and to do it badly and with not even just winning anything. So and we share all the data about their work, financial material. So we give everything because we have because money is, and this transparency is really important. We're trying to bring this trust back. So it's a very good point. We give access to everything. So.
The reason why I asked that because last year I've been fundraising for a year in the UK for UNICEF, door to door as well, so I can tell you it's very harsh. And the main negative that are very, very obviously common are the trust issue, where does the money go and blah, 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 but also the impact. Individuals are very, very willing to give sometimes, but they don't know, they feel like by just giving money, they don't actually feel like they're getting involved in doing something because they're actually not working on the ground. So how can you use Epic or the application to kind of personalize that experience?
Yeah, that's the engagement. I agree with you. It's hard. You can give something just because it could be a social give or a social gift in that case. But yeah, through the app, you can get stories. You can see why this money has been used and how it has been used. So again, nothing is better than go and visit and spend time and work, but not everyone has time to do this. So yeah, technology should help you to do this. And that's what the VR, that's what the film we're doing is a proof point. So when you've been working in this world and that's what you have been doing, you know this. But a lot of people, it's not bad people. They're trying to also, they have not been able to see this firsthand.
Exactly.
Left Bank, Upper East Side in New York, that's fine. So we need, if they don't go, we should bring just this to them.
Every big company has like all the banks, all the big companies, they have like a huge humanitarian projects. And when you want to convince them, what is your strategy? Because they have really concrete projects, and what you offer more. And second point, when you're doing like, it's not B2C because you're not a business, but I would say F2C for foundation. When you're doing F2C, what are your vectors? How are you gonna market all these people? How are you gonna tell all these people that they are, for example, at this place, VR stands where you can see what Epic does? How are you gonna manage everything?
So I slightly disagree with you. I love this. That's the US way to do it. En français, j'aurais dit, je suis pas du tout d'accord avec toi. En anglais, ils disent, oh, no, so thank you for the question, but that's the US. I slightly disagree with you because I don't think all those, you said banks and we can work together. Take the SBF under 20, those in France, but everywhere. And, it's most of the time when I go, it's interesting because one of them, when I go talk to the CEOs, and they are telling me, yes, for sure, I'm doing something. So can you give me how much? And then, oh, I don't know. So can you just check how much? And say, oh, yeah. They call someone. They say, oh, yes. Oh, it's a big number, $1 million euros. How much profit you made last year? Oh, and that's the thing. Yes, they would claim, but sometimes they don't even just get this. It's not because they're not good people. It's not just the top of the agenda. And yes, they do CSR, but that's not enough. And that's what we want. That's the good thing about this generation. RSE or CSR is not a strategy. And that's what we were saying earlier. It's a toy. It's okay, fine, I will do something at the end of the year. I got a good year. Oh, yes, I will sign this check. Oh, bad year, I will sign half of it. No, you don't get this. You don't want this. It's even worse. So then you do zero, it's better. Don't fool us. That's what we're seeing here. And that's why we see more and more. So some are doing stuff. I agree with you. I'm not saying just everyone. But they can really do more. That's why we're saying the 1%. The 1% that is what we're talking about. You just do something systemic. Put this in and go after your shareholders and tell them why you're doing this. But you know what? If you don't do this, you won't be able to recruit those people. And so this, Ute ou Sarah? So Sarah, so she has just joined us. First day at Epic. Bravo, Sarah. So Sarah just started. She was in New York just a few weeks ago. I was giving a talk like this one to HEC, the student from HEC, and she's one of them. And at the end of the talk, she came over and said, "I want to work for you." And she was running the BDE over there, the BDO. She could have gone everywhere. So why Epic? And that's the thing. That's why this organization started understanding. Is you need to give something more, and you know this. And something more for me is it should start with money, because you can claim, you can argue whatever. You have access to everything now. So 5 years ago, 10 years ago, say, "Oh, I'm doing a lot," and you say, "Well, sure, I'm trusting you." Trust is a two-way street. And if you want to work for someone, you need to be sure that what he's saying is true. And that's what we see now, and it's coming because of the numbers I showed you earlier. 20% are just working there. The third question, and more. It will never stop. It will never stop, and it shouldn't stop. And it shouldn't stop because you should do even more and talk to your friends and put pressure. That's where we are now. We should be activists. That's what we are. So dreamers, maybe. It's good to dream. But let's be activists. So when we work in those 15 cities, when we go after just tech entrepreneur business people, we work through private banks and multifamily offices trying to get the connection. One is going after businesses. It's a lot of them are coming to see us. But we could do some outreach. And the third one is more everyone. So everyone, it's an interesting one because a lot of media just help us. So when they have some unsold inventories, they can give us space, and then we can just put some banners. That's kind of stuff we can do. Is driving, but it's driving action. It's really the call to action. That's where we are.
What is your project for the next few years? Are you developing new tools to convince people? And I have another question, is about why Epic Foundation is not a label, something like that.
Okay. So I will start with the second one because it's the label. So what we are trying to achieve first in France, because it's still my dear country, is working with VCs, so venture capitalists, and trying to work on the label with them. So if you if you really want just to go to the next level, let's build a label. And to get the label, it will be a social good label. You need to do two things. One, you should give 1% of your management fees or 1% of your carried of interest. I'm sure everyone knows how the venture world works. So they get some fees every year. They get 1% of what you send them or you give them as an LPs, and they will maybe get just 1% of the carried of interest. So that's a label. What we're saying is, if you do so, you'll get the label. What's interesting, why they will start doing this, besides the fact that most of them are good people, they will start doing it because if they want, let's say you are an entrepreneur and you are starting your business, and you two want to invest in this business, same term sheets, same conditions. I can assure you that you will select the one that will get you something, again, with more purpose. And that's what we see. If you go to Silicon Valley, 80% of the investments from top VCs are made to entrepreneurs between 22 and 29 years old. Millennials, again. It's better if you are from alumni from Stanford. It's better if you do computer science there. It's better if you're white or Asian. It's better if you live less than 20 miles radius from Stanford. That's the 5 conditions where just to get funded in the Silicon Valley by top VCs. So it's interesting. But still, first criteria, 22 to 29-year-old. So the reason why, again, VCs will start doing this is because it will be better for the business. And that's nice, that's normal, there's nothing bad about this. But that's what we see. So the label is a very good point. So we're trying for every single industry, like the Epic Founders Pledge for entrepreneurs here, join us, pledge this. For VCs, get the label. Whatever we're going, we're trying to find a way to make this systemic. Second question, yes, we keep working on design thinking every time, every day. We say, okay, what new technology could just help people to trust more? So we do VR, what's next? So we, whatever exists, and through also all our investments we are doing, we have great connections. So yeah, we are, there is, again, still a great way to give this trust back.
Yeah, for me, it was more a personal question. So you say that money is king and that money does everything, but would you recommend us to go, for example, you first started a for-profit business, right? And then you went into more non-profit. So would you recommend us to first go into for-profit and then get experience and get better and better, and then go into more social entrepreneurship?
Yeah, it's interesting because usually I have this question all the time, so I was waiting for this question. And at the end of the presentation, I always people coming saying, I got this offer from, I don't need to give a name, and fuck them. I won't go there. I want to work for good. I agree. And it's not exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying, if we want, everyone wants to change the system here. I hope the system does. I don't want to give this kind of system for the next generation. So I want to change the system. You don't fight the system. You can outsmart the system. So if you want to change the system, we outsmart the system. You need to be part of the system. So you don't throw stones on the Hôpital Necker. That's not how you change the system. So that's what we see. So yes, the point is, go and work also for just for the Goldman Sachs of the world, and bring this kind of spirit and thinking within those organizations. For me, there's no 1 or 0. And that's why I was super frank with you, but just my personal story. I didn't start at 18, just trying to build schools. But it depends who you are and what you want really to achieve. So there is no one way. Thank you so much. Merci beaucoup. Que l'enfant